would be fun to start a reading journal, my first ever reading journal. This is the 2024 Illuminate Reading Journal, which I haven't touched since I got it. I might flip through it, but have not marked anything in it, so it is fresh. After getting through January, I figured I would start this year off right and document everything in my journal. Because if I don't start now, I'm never going to start doing this. So I've only colored in a few things so far. I've put in my first 2 books on this little bookshelf. It's If It Makes You Happy and Hamnet. I still need to fill in the rest, but I will do that. The first book that I read in January of 2026 was If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia, which it's not really a winter book, so I didn't really read it at the right time of the year, but I know it was a really popular fall book, and I didn't get it in the library hold, so I decided to just read it later, even though it wasn't really the right season for it. I feel like I wasn't expecting too much out of this book. I guess it's like with romance, I don't usually expect too much if it's like a new author. This book was a lot more than I expected. It kind of blew me away a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a 5-star, but it was like 4.25. I feel like it's better than the usual romance that I read, so I really enjoyed it. I could see myself reading it again, like in the fall time maybe. I don't know if I will, but I'm not opposed. Yeah, but I just think it was a very cute, like, Gilmore Girl vibes book, like small town, and she's like taking over this bed and breakfast after her mom died, and the next door neighbor, like, divorced man with 2 little girls. It's like very typical big city girl moves to a small town and falls in love with said small town, and I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it. Maybe I should have been like filling this out as I was talking. I don't know if I'm good at talking and writing at the same time. I don't know that anybody is, or that it would be very interesting to see me write and talk at the same time. I love journaling, but I kind of hate writing them, especially in pen, because I can't go back, I guess this reading journal is just for me and nobody else is going to be looking at it, but I feel like it's not just like your lighthearted, chick flicky book. Like, I do think there is more substance in it, and that's why I liked it. So, like, the characters are more real. I feel like the problems are more real. The relationships, everything just feels more real. And not just, like, a silly little rom-com. So, that's the vibe. I don't know if I'm going to make it through doing this, like, every single month of the year, but we'll see. I feel like with these colors, I have way too many options, like, way too many colored pencils here. I don't know which one to use. Okay, next book. So, next we had Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I gave it the same rating as the last book, another 4.25. Definitely a much different vibe than the last book. Not a romance at all. I mean, I guess historical fiction is what you classify this as. I mean, I feel like it's been pretty popular lately, but maybe that's because I watched the movie and I've been talking to people about the movie, and it was my book club book. I highly recommend it. It, follows Shakespeare and his kid Hamnet, who died from, like, sickness when he was really young. And so you follow both storylines. You follow Hamnet's storyline from, like, the day he falls sick, and then you also follow Shakespeare's timeline from, like, when he was a young man, like, right before he met his wife, to when Hamnet dies, and following him, like, making his way as a playwright. I found the movie more depressing than the book in a way. I guess the book covers a lot more, but you follow Shakespeare and Agnes from, like, when they're meeting, and I feel like you get more time with them in the book, I guess, where it's not, like, constantly depressing. And I don't know, I think the movie just made it more dramatic, all of the depressing scenes. Yeah, the movie felt a lot more depressing. It was like trauma after trauma. But I think they did a really good job portraying the events in the movie. And like, I mean, I think in a movie you lose a lot the ability to share like what people are thinking internally. I really enjoyed the book. I would recommend reading the book first and then watching the movie. I just feel like you'd get more out of it. Time to actually document what I was saying. It was a lot more slower paced, but not boring. I also kind of like that in the book, like, they never say Shakespeare's name, like, not once. It's always like the Glover's son or Hamnet's dad or something, like, never his name. I thought it was kind of like an interesting little bit, because I guess he's not well known in the book. He's kind of like not important like in the town. He's like kind of a bit of a failure. Like, he's not doing anything with his life. He's not really good at being a Glover. So next I read Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I do have the paperback, but I actually don't think I read from the paperback at all, because I had the ebook. It was pretty good. Kind of like 3.5 stars. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. I think I gave the first book 5 stars. Better than the movies. I really like that book. I don't know. I think part of it was that when I was starting to read it, I kind of forgot what happened in the first book. Like, I forgot who the characters were, maybe because it's just been so long since I've read Better Than the Movies. I just completely forgot what happened. And I had to, I watched, a little video on YouTube to remind myself of what the plot of the first book was. I wasn't as invested, I feel like, because I forgot what happened in the first book, which isn't what I'm usually expecting when I'm going into a romance. So that caught me off guard. And I don't know if you, need to remember what happened in the first book that much. I feel like you should, but I just right into the first chapter, I immediately was I forget everything that happened. I have to refresh myself, because it felt like going into it blind. These are characters I'm already supposed to really know, and I don't know them at all. I do think as you get into the book, it doesn't really matter. It is kind of one big miscommunication trope, but at the same time, he's intentionally hiding the truth from her. So miscommunication, or just it was a little annoying. A little bit I get why you did that, but I did still like it. I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was fun. I did like the characters. It was well written. They had good backstories and stuff. Fairly believable. Just not my favorite. Next we had Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I listened to this as an audiobook. I love listening to thrillers as audiobooks, and I loved this. It was so good. Reading books like this make me kind of feel psychotic a little bit, because why did I like it so much? It was really dark and gory and disgusting. So fair warning, I don't think everyone will like this. But if you're prepared to soldier through a bit of gore and really disgusting details that are really well written, then I think you'd really enjoy this. I was freaking out at towards the end, because I just couldn't believe how disturbing it was. But it was really good. I really liked it. It definitely isn't it's not at the very beginning that you know what's going on. It might be 25% of the way through, and I just kind of, the ending was crazy, and what happens once it starts picking up, which I don't even feel it needs to start picking up. I feel right from the beginning it's kind of you're in there. 4.5 stars. 4.5, 4.25. Maybe I can't give every book 4.25. I feel it was a pretty good reading month. So I also love that her last name is Slaughter, which I know was a normal last name, but for being a thriller author, it's just a little on point, No, but I cannot express enough how I don't even know if gory is the right word, but I was literally gagging at one point. I felt I couldn't breathe the air properly. I could taste the gross tanginess in the air, and I feel if you read it, you know what part I'm talking about. It's imprinted on my mind. It's so bad. Oh my goodness. Yeah, like a lot of torture in that one. Okay, next I read Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I feel like I've been reading a lot of Alice Feeney books lately. I love thrillers, and she just has a bunch of thrillers, so I listen to them all on audio from the library. I also have like a few audible audiobooks that I need to listen to that I bought, and I just feel like when I can get the audiobooks from the library, I'm just so much less likely to read the books that I actually own. I don't know if that's a good thing because, like, yay, library, like, you don't need to buy anything, or if it's bad because I'm not reading the books that were good enough for me to buy. Okay, I gave it 3.75. It's not quite 4 stars, but it's like nearly there. I think it was just like, it was really good. Don't get me wrong, like almost 4 stars. I think it was just kind of confusing. I think it was really well written, especially how it comes together in the end. Like, was really fun and cool, and I feel like part of it, you can kind of see, like, as you're reading, like, obviously this is about Daisy Darker. Like, her grandmother wrote, like, children's books about her. And so like, some element of it is, like, her story. And I just think that was really wrapped up nicely at the end. However, the ending was very unexpected at the same time. Like, did not see that coming. And it was kind of out of left field a little bit. Like, what is wrong with this family? You do get a lot of the background towards the end. Like, why is this happening? But I kind of feel like that maybe wasn't enough of an explanation to justify murdering the entire family. I do agree that everyone in her family was, like, awful people, but did they all have to die? So it was good. It was fun, like a fun little murder mystery, and reading about characters who are, like, awful, but it was a little crazy at the end. And I do kind of feel like it's a book because of how it ends, that it would be fun to reread. Okay, next we have The Haunting of Payne's Hollow, and this I listened to on audio as well, and it was very good. Honestly, I feel like I hadn't heard much about this book. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't know why. More of a horror than a thriller, I think. It is a little grotesque, but honestly, not as bad as Pretty Girls. Pretty Girls was crazy. But Haunting of Payne's Hollow, it is more like supernatural horror-y. Yeah, I thought it was fun. It's like, you know, haunted cabin in the woods, kind of. The cabin isn't haunted, it's like the forest and like the beach that's haunted. You know, it's like local legends. Like, you don't really know what's going on until the very end. Like, you can kind of tell, like, there's something happening with this girl. There's something special about her. Everything comes together in the end. It is a little crazy what's going on. It is kind of crazy how it all ends up turning out, and what the backstory is, and how everybody is involved. There are quite a few deaths, actually, like a lot of deaths. Like, arguably, most of the characters die, like most of the main characters, so be warned for that. I won't tell you who, but you do get characters dying. But no, I recommend it if you're into thrillers. I don't even think it's not a very, like, horrifying horror, so it's a pretty easy horror if you're, like, new to the genre and you're, like, not completely sure if you want to dive in. But if you like thrillers, I would pick it up. Okay, next we have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This was on my 26 books to read in 2026, and didn't really like it that much. Like, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars, and, like, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't like, this is a great series enjoyable. It was like, this is fine. I don't know, maybe it's because just, like, the time that I'm reading it, you know, it's very much like, she has these trials that she has to go through, and each trial ends up kind of getting resolved a similar way. It's, like, not that exciting of a book. I didn't really care that much. Probably won't be continuing the series. This was one of the series, like a new series on my 2026 TBR that was like, oh man, this is really like shooting up the amount of books I have to read this year, but it's not, because I don't think I'm gonna read the other 2 books. Another thing I noticed that like I also saw people saying in their reviews was that our main character, I don't even remember her name, but the prison healer, her personality like completely shifts at the end. And from like the reviews that I was seeing like on Reddit and stuff, that continues in the second book. Like her in the first book versus her in the second book are like 2 completely different people with 2 completely different motives. And you kind of see it at the end, but it just came a bit out of left field. And I don't think I care enough about the characters to continue. I don't think I'm like really sold on the romance to continue. It was like fun, it was cute, but it just wasn't my favorite. I think it was just a bit overhyped for me. I think maybe if it wasn't like so hyped in my mind, I wouldn't have been that disappointed. But I was kind of disappointed. And I did give it 3 stars, which it also might be hard for me to give less than 3 stars, but it's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible, because the next book, the next book that I read was Voice of the Ocean by Kelsey Impeche. She's like an influencer. I've never seen any of her videos or whatever she posts. I don't even know if she does. Probably she does TikTok. I have no idea. I don't know her. But the cover of the book was just so pretty. I really want to read it. And I think that's a common sentiment among the people who have picked up this book. Just the cover is so good. I really like the cover. And it just made me feel like the book was going to be good. I purely wanted to read it because of the cover. Like, all I knew was that it was like a Little Mermaid retelling. And it definitely was. I did not like it. It wasn't the worst book that I've read. I feel like I say this a lot, but like, it wasn't as bad as Powerless. I think depending on how you compare them, Powerless I didn't like because I thought the writing itself was bad. I just didn't like the writing style. Too many adjectives, too many adverbs. It was really hard to read, like sentence-wise. But I think the plot in Powerless was probably fun. It's a pretty classic, like, romantasy. Voice of the Ocean, I think, was actually pretty well written, to an extent. Like, I didn't have any problems, like, reading it. The sentences themselves didn't bother me. It was just so boring. Was not interested in the characters at all. The main character actually really annoyed me because, and I think this annoyed a lot of other people too, but she doesn't speak, at least once she gets legs and, like, is interacting with the humans. But it's not because she can't speak. Like, she doesn't lose her voice. She can still use her voice. She can still speak. She can still sing. She still has powers. But she's, like, self-conscious about her accent, to the point where she pretends like she's mute. She knows how to speak. She, like, in the conversations she's having with people, like, a lot of times, like, what she's saying is, like, italicized because she's, like, saying it in her head and then she's trying to act it out, which is just, it's so much more embarrassing than if she just spoke with an accent. And she speaks later in the book, and, like, nobody really says anything about her accent. They're just kind of like, you can talk? I mean, I think if it, like, was only for a few chapters, it would have been one thing. It would have been like, okay, she's, like, a little self-conscious. It's just taking her a little bit to get out of her shell. But she's, like, with these people on the ocean for weeks. And she's, like, really close with them. Like, she loves these people. The mermaids are supposed to hate humans. They're supposed to be killing humans. She wants to protect these people. But at the same time, she, like, isn't comfortable enough to speak. But I gave it 2 stars overall. Like I said, I don't think it was badly written. I didn't like it. It just, like, wasn't for me. But I do think people could like it. Which, I guess that's not necessarily what 2 stars means. Because I rated Powerless 1 star. And obviously a lot of people love Powerless. They're obsessed with Powerless. And maybe if I could get past the writing, I would also love it. But I couldn't get past the writing. I had to, like, I couldn't physically read it. I had to listen to the audiobook. And I also didn't really read Voice of the Ocean fully. Like, I did read it, but I skimmed it a lot. Sometimes I'd accidentally click twice when I was turning the page, and I didn't care. I'm not going to go back and read the last page because I feel like I didn't miss anything. And I just really didn't care. I mean, Voice of the Ocean, I read pretty normally until I was like 30% of the way through. Like, I was doing okay until I was 30% through. Like, it wasn't like instantly I hated it. I just like never got into it. And it just didn't really get better. But I mean, I guess at that point I was just kind of checked out. So. Oh, only 2 books left. Okay. Next I read Pictures of You by Emma Gray. Let me tell you, this book was so good. It wasn't easy to read, I wouldn't say. I listened to it on audio, so I mean, that part was easy. I wasn't physically reading. I like had to stop it sometimes because it was like too much. It was very toxic. The relationships, it has like emotional abuse, a lot of emotional abuse, and it was painful to read at times. Like, the people are awful, or some of the people are just awful in this book. But I thought it was really well done, and the fact that I was so distraught by this book and so angry at these characters, I think just goes to show how well written it was. So yeah, I gave it like 4.75 5 stars. So I'm rounding up to 5 stars. I don't know that it was like quite 5 stars, but it was very close. Just making me angry like that, that is enough. Like, it kind of deserves the 5-star ranking. And I feel like a lot of people are reading it, but I feel like I don't hear enough about it with how good I think it is. Sometimes when I like a book and it's not like everybody's like foaming at the mouth for it, I get a little mad. I get a little angry that not enough people are appreciating it. I would recommend it. Though, again, emotional abuse. So, like, if you can't read that, do not read this book. Like, I don't think it's for everyone. Again, a lot of these books I don't think are for everyone. Especially the next one, which I also really enjoyed. I feel like there's like a common thread among the books I read this month, which I really enjoyed them. So I should follow that thread, continue down this path, but I'm starting to think there's just a little something not quite right up here. I like the toxic books, the rage, I like the gore. I just feel like if you can have that like toxicity, like, and that gore just so well written in your books, it's just like I just gotta applaud that, because I don't think that would be easy to write, and I feel like if you write it poorly, it's just annoying. Like, I don't want to read about a stupid preppy brat who's toxic to his girlfriend. But yeah, no, this was really well done. So. The next book was Lord of Ruin by K.M. Enright, and I don't recommend this to everybody because it is very gory. I was kind of shocked by how much gore there was. Like, I wasn't really expecting that. I do think there's definitely like some gore in the first one. Like, I think it starts off very bloody because she kills her father. So that in itself is kind of crazy. Kind of gives you like a vibe of what's happening in this book. But yeah, it's definitely very dark, and the characters they're like all very morally gray, some more than others. And our main character, I'm really bad with names, her name's blanking on me. Our main character, Sean Leclerc, I feel like she was getting better in the first book. Like, she started off killing her father, and I feel like, she was kind of going up. Like, she had some character growth, and I feel like that was just all taken away in this book, at least in the first half. I think she started to get a little better at the end, but like all that character growth she went through, you just kept seeing it be stripped away in this book. It just went to shambles. But again, I guess I like to see that. I like to see our characters broken down and making terrible life decisions. And being horrible friends, I guess. She's really bad. It's called The Age of Blood, the series. The first book is Mistress of Lies. Wasn't a Lumicrate book. And I really like the first book as well. But, like, I feel like I'm in the minority here. A lot of people don't really seem to like it. Actually, people, like, really don't like it. And I don't know why. The first book has, like, a rating of 3.25, which is very low. and only like 4,300 reviews. I feel like it's so well written. I guess I like words. I like words that are written nicely together, pretty sentences. And I like gore, I guess. And this has both of those. So if you like really dark, questionable characters and gore, this would be a really good series for you. Mistress of Lies. 4.25, 4.5. I kind of am feeling 4.5. What's holding it back from being a 5 stars is, I don't know, it's been a while since I read the first book, so maybe that's part of it. I did kind of refresh myself on the first book, like I read a few chapters throughout it, which was good. It also starts off giving you like a summary of the first book, which is also nice. But yeah, I feel like because it's the second book and it's kind of like, they kind of have a little like polyamorous relationship, which they kind of establish in the first book, their relationships. And then going into the second book, they have those relationships. So I guess it's not unreasonable that you immediately get some spice, but it just really caught me off guard. I really wasn't expecting it. I don't think this book needs spice, like at all. It might be better without it. Like if I were to skip spice in a book, it might be this one. It just, especially at the beginning, it just like really threw me off. I'm just not expecting there to be spice at the beginning of my books. Since they were already in relationships, I guess it maybe made sense, but that's my one critique. I didn't really like that. And I do think other people had similar critiques, so. And I liked it more than people, so. I'm just a little upset that people aren't liking it as much as I am. I just really like the writing style. I really like how dark it is and how well she writes how dark it is and how detailed it is. But yeah, the spice, I wasn't really about the spice. It's a story about morally gray characters, and maybe like a little worse than morally gray because they are all kinds of messed up. This whole city is messed up. My camera died right before I finished yesterday, but here is the rest of my book haul. Yeah, I filled it out. So I have His and Hers, People We Meet on Vacation, The Eye of the World, Anxious People, and Sword Catcher. I all got for £1 from the Kobo store. And then I got The Poet Empress from Illumicrate for £29 because I got the full box. I mean, the book itself, I guess, is £20. But that's my book haul. That's what I read this month. 10 books, mix of fantasy, romance, and thrillers. And I read a lot of great books this month, but top one is Pictures of You by Emma Gray. I had a really great reading month. I hope you also had a really great reading month. Let me know down below how it went. And I will talk to you later. Bye!